Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to this detailed analysis looking into the dollar pairs. Currently, I'm live on Euro Dollar. I have two positions running right now. They're in decent profit. So I'm going to explain kind of my view on the dollar in general and my bias here of the weakness of the dollar. And I'm going to explain a few dollar positions that are looking pretty well. And starting with Euro Dollar here, Euro Dollar, we did have this bullish push up correction and we're pushing up again. So it's looking good to see this bullish continuation. Now, I'm going to start from the higher time frame explaining my bias here. Is that after this strong bullish impulse from the higher time frame, price developed into this kind of a parallel structure with a few swing highs and a few swing low. So we know that generally this is a correction structure that is in the making. And we also have structures within structure. We have this expanding structure correcting the price down to the bottom here. And it's all looking like we can have a bullish up move from the bottom. Now, if we look at the lower time frame here, we have the expanding structure, we also have the higher time frame double bottom, and we have this descending structure correcting the price down to the low here. And at the end, we have the inverse head and shoulder popping the breaking up from the descending structure. And that was my first entry looking for a lower time frame correction, which I got in, and I scaled into another position once we form a continuation correction. So the overall bias here is looking for upside, and I'm looking to hold this trade to the upside here at the high of this descending channel and the high at the top of this expanding structure. And overall, it's running pretty good, and I'm going to look to hold on to the position that's running right now and see if there's going to be possible scaling opportunity later on down the road. So let's start looking at a few dollar positions, starting with dollar index to give a better perspective on what the dollar might be doing. Now, dollar index here overall, you can see after that strong bearish push down for the price, very similar like euro dollar, we fall into this kind of a parallel structure on the higher time frame. And with the few swing highs and few swing low, we know that there is a correctional structure that is in the making. And now we have that double top here. We also have the expanding structure, very similar like euro dollar. And we also have this ascending channel moving the price up. So a lot of confluence here that is signaling for a bearish reversal. Now, we finally got this breakdown from the price. We did see the price push down, and then there was smaller correction pushing down the price. And we're just at the beginning of this potential bearish run. So if the price does push down and commit to itself and pushing down to the bottom of the expanding structure, we're only about halfway through this larger structure, and a possible breakdown and continuation is very, very likely, and we might get the full-on dollar weakness later on into next week or the following month. So generally, my bias here is still going to be weakness on the dollar pairs in general. So let's take a look at a few dollar pairs that are shaping up for that dollar weakness and the continuation of the dollar weakness. Aussie dollar is one of them. You can see that we have that inverse head and shoulder pattern, price basically bullish impulse of this right shoulder here, and certainly continuation is looking very clean. We see a more and more correction pushing the price up, and what I like about it is that we break above this previous high and price is basically pushing up to more and more. So further down, further correction structure here pushing the price up to the high of the higher time frame structure is very, very possible. As we can see, higher time frame, it is looking pretty bullish after this bullish impulse. We had a correctional period, another bullish impulse, and we have a larger kind of a sideways movement parallel channel, and at the end, at the bottom here, we did have that inverse head and shoulder as well. So this is looking very, very clean, and just wondering if we have enough room to the upside, and if we do end up breaking above, and certainly another continuation correction above that to push the price up to the higher time frame high here is very possible and very obtainable. Now let's look at other dollar pairs that are also looking pretty clean. I'm going to talk about dollar Swiss here. Dollar Swiss here, we can see we have this ascending structure pushing the price up. As we know, ascending structure is generally a bearish reversal price action. And at the top here, we're seeing nice a head and shoulder pattern here. On the right shoulder, we consolidate a little bit, and we impulsively break to the downside, which is a good thing to see. And as we can see, once the price breaks down from the ascending channel here, we also form a bearish continuation correction. This is usually a good sign that showing you that this previous consolidation is finally over, and we can likely get another downside from the price. And looking at we're pushing to the downside now, we're looking at this as a first potential target, or the bottom of this ascending channel as a second potential target. I do agree if this is going to break this previous low, and certainly more downside is very, very possible. So that is dollar Swiss. Let's look at dollar CAD here. Dollar CAD also has a decent price action here, as we can see on the higher time frame. Higher time frame, we hit about that higher time frame high here, and we form into this kind of a larger ascending structure. And again, ascending structure, as we know, it is bearish reversal in nature. So we look at the lower time frame here. Not only we have that higher time frame double top, we have the ascending structure, and we have this kind of a head and shoulder as well. We have the really strong bearish impulsive fade to the downside. And the key here is that we broke up below this previous low, right? Once the price impulsively break this previous low, any type of bearish continuation correction here, in my opinion, is valid. Is valid to look for a potential sell, either down to the previous low here or the previous low where the bullish impulsive move has happened. So either way, be patient here and waiting for a little bit more consolidation because this impulsive phase to the downside is still quite strong and it's quite fierce. So good idea to kind of be a little bit more patient and waiting for a tangible correction here to develop and push the price down to the previous low. Now let's look at a couple other dollar pairs. Dollar Singapore dollar is another one that I was looking at. Overall price is very clean or very clear, like dollar index. We have this bearish push down from the price. We fall into this larger kind of a structure here. It's a little bit more expanding, but again, a few swing highs and few swing lows. And from the top of the structure, we have that impulse, we have that correction, and that's where I was looking for a continuation price action for the price. And it did push down originally. It did form another continuation correction, and it's pushing down here. So expect this price to break below here and then continue all the way down to the bottom of the higher time frame expanding structure. And it's looking pretty clean here. A little bit more consolidation here could push down the price. And as long as we can break below this low here and then continue lower, I think it's a lot more room to the downside, and that's enough risk reward to justify a trade to the downside here. Now let's continue to a couple other dollar pair. Let's go with Kiwi Dollar here. Kiwi Dollar, if we look at the higher time frame, again, it's very similar like Aussie Dollar, right? We have this kind of a descending structure pushing the price. We have the coronavirus crash here, and then we recover all this price, and then finally we push out even higher, and we fall into this larger kind of a continuation correction. And we've been consolidating here since pretty much February, so a very lengthy correction that usually going to give you a very higher probability to continue the previous bullish move and likely to continue higher. So if we look at the lower time frame here, we finally have a little bit of bullish impulse on the lower time frame breaking out of the structure, which is nice. Now what we have to do is waiting for a consolidation here, waiting for a bullish continuation correction here to develop. That's going to give you another upside to the previous high. And if we look at the higher time frame here, once we reach this high here, we're pretty much above the high of this area as well. So we gotta be careful to see whether or not price is going to reverse down from the top here and continue lower, or we're just going to fully break out and then fully go on into a bullish trend. So that's Kiwi Dollar. Dollar Peso was one of them that I was also watching. Dollar Peso had a really clean kind of price action as well. We had this original bearish push down for the price, and we fall into this larger expanding structure. And as the price moved to the top here, there is consolidation here. But the consolidation here is a little bit too wide, a little bit too lengthy. I was having a hard time to identify a potential sell or potential correction. But in general, you can see from a price point of view, backtesting and chart work, that you can see that there is still that double top here. There is still that consolidation here, as we know that it is a reversal kind of ascending structure. And price push down, there is a smaller correction here, and we're pushing down to the low now. So expect this to consolidate and then eventually push down to the bottom of here. And whether or not we're going to break down and then continuation to the downside, that's very possible as well. So the last dollar pair I want to go over, which is pound dollar. So starting from the pound dollar higher time frame, we already have this really strong bullish push up to the upside, and we finally got into this larger kind of bullish structure that's in the making. Again, few swing high, few swing low, we know that there is a correctional structure in the making. And if we look deeper into the lower time frame here, we have this kind of a descending structure as well, correcting the price. There's a few swing highs and low here. And the key difference here, in my opinion, where the turning point of this pound dollar position is that this was the original previous low. Price had this really sharp impulse pushing down, and normally we expect a bearish impulse to follow by bearish continuation to continue the price. Instead, we did not get that. Instead, it was a bearish impulse to the downside and a strong bullish reversal impulse to the upside, continuation, and we'll just continue pushing the price up. So what do I expect from the price moving forward? Well, it's very similar like a couple other pairs. We're looking to see if we can completely impulsively up above this descending structure that we're currently in, and then look for a lower time frame continuation to develop here. That's going to give you a potential entry to the top of the overall price action. So there it is, guys. That is my breakdown of all the dollar pairs. Specifically, euro dollar is a position that I'm currently running right now. I'm currently in pretty decent profit. I'm looking to hold as long as I can, as long as the price action permits for me to hold the longer term. And I'm also looking at every other dollar pairs that I talk about here that potentially could give us another opportunity to look for a buy position to the upside. So any question, comment, feedback, welcome to let me know, guys. And I will chat with you guys all in my weekly trading recap video on the weekend. Thank you very much.